Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Reds here, host of the Raiders Report, and it's never too early for a little Raiders mock draft. Would not been able to do today's show if it wasn't for our awesome sponsor, Hexclad. And if anybody out there wants to elevate their cooking game, like, I don't know, Gordon Ramsay, go to hexclad.com/chatsports. That link's going to be available to you all down in the comments and down in the description of today's show. So with the Raiders right now at the number 6 overall pick, if the NFL season were to end today, I've had so many people, Mitch, do a mock draft. So guess what? Today I'm going to rock out with my mock out. And I did this one on PFF. So my mock draft simulator was ran through the PFF, all their rankings, and you're going to see every single pick that I would have made. As it stands right now, the Raiders have 9 picks in the 2024 NFL draft. You have round 1, pick 6 at 37, round 2, round 3, pick 74, round 4, 109. Round 5, 142, round 6, 202, and then 3 picks in the 7th round. I will admit, I did not do any trades whatsoever in this mock, and I will do probably a mock with trades later in the offseason. I just wanted to kind of break down the 9 picks that I would go with. But if I know the Raiders, those 3 7s are going to turn into something like a 6th, maybe even a 5th round pick. So with this mock draft simulator, Caleb Williams, he went off the board of the Chicago Bears. Then Drake Maye went off the board. Marvin Harrison Jr. Olu went to the Commanders. And at number 5, Latu, the edge rusher out of UCLA, to then the Chicago Bears. So that means this. The Las Vegas Raiders were on the clock. You know where I stand at quarterback. Caleb Williams off the board. Drake Maye is off the board. And here are the best players available according to PFF. You had Brock Bowers, tight end out of Georgia, one of the best tight end prospects that I've seen. You guys know how much I liked Michael Mayer. Bowers is a better tight end than Mayer. Joe Alt, Malik Neighbors, Kool-Aid McKinstry, Jerzon Newton, Chop Robinson, Jayden Daniels, Michael Penix Jr., Bo Nix, J.J. McCarthy, all available at my disposal here. So my question to every single person is this, and this is going to be the pinned comment. This is going to be what I want you all to answer down below. You're about to get hit with the YouTube ad break, so scroll on down. Who should the Las Vegas Raiders draft at pick number 6? With the 6th pick in my very first mock draft for this year, I am going to select quarterback out of LSU, Jayden Daniels, the Heisman Trophy winner. The Las Vegas Raiders need to be able to find a playmaker under center. You need to be able to find somebody that can really change the game. And to me, you can't try to hit a single with Aiden O'Connell. You can't try to hit a single with Jimmy Garoppolo again. Honestly, trying to roll out with Brian Hoyer, I know it's not going to happen. That's like a sack bunt. You need a home run. When you're going up against Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, you need a home run, and that's exactly what Daniels is here in my mock. Not only is he an incredible passer, not only has he gotten better at throwing the football from his time at Arizona State to his first year at LSU to this past year, 40 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. This dude can do a lot of special things, and he can also get it done with his legs. 135 carries, 1,334 yards, 10 rushing touchdowns. The notes that I have on Jayden Daniels look very, very similar to the notes I had on Lamar Jackson. And I know there's a lot of people out there like, oh, Mitch, Lamar Jackson's never going to make it happen. I know there's a lot of people out there that said the Raiders should never draft an LSU quarterback because of Jamarcus Russell. Let's get one thing straight. Anybody saying Jayden Daniels and Jamarcus Russell the same QB, you should unsubscribe. You shouldn't watch them because that's about as dumb as it gets. To me, sometimes you just got to be able to believe in a guy that I don't know how the talent's going to translate, but the talent is clearly there. And I really, truly believe that Jayden Daniels is going to be a special quarterback in the NFL. And he's a clear upgrade. The Raiders are going to move on from Jimmy Garoppolo. They're going to cut him this offseason. They're going to make him a post-June 1st cut. They're going to cut Brian Hoyer. They should keep Aiden O'Connell as a backup quarterback. And who knows, maybe you decide to draft another QB late. Maybe you decide to sign an older free agent guy that you can have at the practice squad. Maybe just keep a guy like Chase Garbers. I don't know, but what I do know is this. You cannot go into next season with any of these guys as your starting quarterback, or else you might as well get ready yet again to pick in the top 5. If you're looking for mock drafts all off-season long, make sure you subscribe to the Raiders Report. We're going to be making tons of draft content the entire offseason. My job here is to have a good time. We're going to bang a little bit on live shows. You're going to get a lot of live content. But during the draft, this is where Chat Sports can really flex their muscles. Our draft coverage is going to be, I guarantee you, the best draft coverage you see on YouTube. And if it's not, you can unsubscribe. Here's the thing. It's absolutely free, which I think is pretty damn cool. All right, so we took Jayden Daniels at pick number 6 in round 1. I was looking to add a corner. I'm going to be looking to add a defensive tackle. I was thinking, all right, do I potentially go offense, defense, maybe the guys in the trenches? Could have gone a lot of different areas here, but you know what? I was really, really excited with the pick that I ended up getting here. He fell down the board. I'm kind of surprised because to me, he's the top 30 overall prospect. I'm going to go defensive tackle Leonard Taylor III out of the U. I know that I've been preaching that I want Tyree Wilson to be an interior defensive tackle. Chugs and I have been preaching that here on this show because to me, Tyree Wilson can be that guy. I'm hoping Malcolm Koonce comes back. You add him as an edge rusher, not comes back. He's already going to be back. I want him to get an extension. But to me, then, you would have Max Crosby, Leonard Taylor III, who would be by far your best defensive tackle, next to Tyree Wilson, and then you let Malcolm Koonce continue to cook there on the outside. To me, when I look at Taylor, he's a really good DT at being able to get after the quarterback and pass rush. PFF, on their analysis on him, is this. Big men don't often get the athlete label as a prospect, but at 6'3", 305 pounds, that is exactly what Taylor is. His pass rush win rate is one of the highest at the position, making him one of the best, perhaps the best, pass rushing defensive tackle in this year's class. So to me, when you look at the Raiders' defensive tackles, Jerry Tillery, I don't know what he is exactly. John Jenkins, going to be a free agent. Bilal Nichols, going to be a free agent. Adam Butler, yes, he's had an okay season, but again, what can we really count on him? Byron Young's been a healthy scratch the entire season. Nesta Jade Silvera has been a healthy scratch the entire year. I want the Raiders to go out and address the defensive tackle room, and that's exactly what I did here. So I got Jayden Daniels, Leonard Taylor III. So I took QB, went DT. I really, really like the start of this. And then in round 3, I'm just going to tell you all this right now, and it kind of reminds me of the corner from Seattle, whose name's escaping me right now. And we talked Woolen. Yeah, Tariq Woolen, where I had a mock draft taking Tariq Woolen in the 3rd round, and then guess what? He ends up going where he ends up going. This is another player that I don't think is going to be available in round 3 because once more people get to know who he is, and when he lights up the combine, people are going to be like, holy shit, this kid is talented. Quinyon Mitchell, cornerback out of Toledo. I mean, he is an athletic freak. 6 foot, 200 pounds, 41 tackles, 18 PBUs, and 1 INT. When people targeted him at Toledo, I think a lot of the times the quarterbacks would be like, holy Toledo. 5 pick sixes. Dude can make plays. 5 picks last season, I thought was what Chuck said. 5 picks last season. The guy's a playmaker. And I know sometimes people look at small schools and they're like, I don't really know where to go about that. To me, Quinyon Mitchell in round 3rd, he's going to be a round 2 pick. Like, really, really talented player. And for where the Raiders are at right now, Amik Robertson going to be a free agent. Yes, you got Nate Hobbs, and Nate Hobbs has been a dog. Jack Jones, are they going to bring him back? If Antonio Pierce is the head coach, yes, Jack Jones will be back. Jacorian Bennett's been bad. Tyler Hall deserves to come back. He's been a really solid player. Brandon Faison has finally just been lifted off IR. He's going to get his first time playing up against the Chargers, but he's got a 2-year deal. I think he ends up getting cut in the offseason. The Raiders need a corner. The Raiders need a defensive tackle. The Raiders need a quarterback, and that's exactly what I did here with my first 3 picks and my first mock draft for 2024. Let's go to round 4 now, pick 109, and this is a pick that I'm just going to tell you, it's kind of a little bit of a spoiler alert. I'm thinking long-term, and I don't know how much of an impact he's going to be able to make on this roster in the first year, but to me, it's a long-term move, and sometimes people really freak out when a guy gets injured, and they don't look at the overall prospect. And I think you got to look at the overall prospect. But you know what? Before I tell you who I decided to pick here at 109 in round 4, with the first-round pick, if I had to pick one for Pans in my cooking game, it's Hexclad. In fact, they are round 1, pick 1. And if you want to elevate your cooking game, go to hexclad.com/chatsports. And personally, I think this is actually a great item to get for the holidays. It's probably something that I don't know if I would be able to buy myself right away, but if I wanted to get my dad, my mom, something that maybe they wouldn't know about, Hexclad is really, really changing the cooking game. And if anybody out there likes to eat, well, hey, listen up. because it's time right now to get started with HexClad because they have revolutionized the cookware industry with a hybrid pan that gives you all the convenience and cleanup of a non-stick, the versatility of your grandma's cast iron, and a lifetime warranty just in case you find a way to destroy them. Raider Nation, go to hexclad.com/chatsports for 10% off. HexClad truly checks every single box when it comes to picking your cookware. They are metal utensil safe, dishwasher safe, and oven safe up to 500 degrees. But hey, man, maybe you're not going to take my word for it. You're like, Mitch, I've seen you and Jeremy eat Taco Bell on this show. I've never seen Gordon Ramsay do that. And maybe you're right. But the sear I can get on these pans is incredible. With absolutely no stick, the temperature control is utter perfection, and the cleanup is effortless. I love using HexClad at home. If Gordon Ramsay uses HexClad at home, I hate to break it to you, you should probably use these pans at home as well. They're also the sexiest pans on the market. Score some points with mom. Maybe score some points with the fiance. If you're the cooker in the family like me, hey, I could use all the extra bonus points I could get. So it's time to stop ordering delivery food and start cooking like a big boy with HexClad. Real cuisine isn't made in the microwave. It's cooked in HexClad. For a limited time, get 10% off with our special link, hexclad.com/chatsports. That's 10% off at hexclad.com/chatsports. And I know every single time I talk about HexClad, I always say, like, hey, man, I got to show you how sexy these pans are. But they really, really, truly are. They're beautiful pans. They're super easy to use. And my number one thing when I cook, I want food to taste great, and I hate cleaning up. I do. The fact that I can put this in the dishwasher and never be worried that if it's going to be ruined or not when I take it out, that's easy for me. It also saves me the headache in case Alex finds a pan that's ruined and she's like, did you put this in the dishwasher? Because usually I'm the one that does that. Get started. Great stocking stuffer. Great holiday gift. hexclad.com/chatsports. And with the fourth round, pick 109, I'm going to go guard Zak Zinter. And the only reason why Zinter is available here at pick 109 is because the injury that he sustained a few weeks ago for the Michigan Wolverines. But, like, to me, he's one of the best offensive guards and would have been one of the top guards. Was a first-round talent, in my personal opinion, coming out of Michigan. On top of that is a leader. He's an All-American. He's the captain of that team, and that's where that team looks to run behind. Like, I know a lot of the times we talk about J.J. McCarthy, we talk about Blake Corum, but the reason why the Michigan offensive line is sometimes as good as what it is because you need a leader up front. Andre James is going to be a free agent. Greg Van Roten is going to be a free agent. Tremaine Illuminor is going to be a free agent, right? I'm not going to trust Justin Herron, Jordan Meredith, Thayer Munford. I'm not ready to trust those guys yet. As it stands right now, that means Colton Miller, Dylan Parham. Dylan Parham could get kicked into guard or kicked into center, which means both of your guard positions are going to be available, which is why I love the long-term pick of Zak Zinter because to me, he would be a long-term option on your offensive line. And I want the Raiders to start putting a little bit more focus on the trenches. They might not be sexy picks, but Zak Zinter in round 4, that's sexier than a HexClad. Let's go to round 5, pick 142 here on the Raiders Report. Huge lineman in small schools from Senior. I hear you, my guy. This pick I'm a little bit up in the air about because I'm not a believer that Josh Jacobs is going to be back next season. So I'm going to go with Ray Davis, and he is a smaller height standard-wise, but he's a little bit thicker. And I was not crazy about a lot of the picks that were on the board here at this spot, and sometimes that is simply going to happen. Again, this is our 2024 mock draft, just so you guys don't get confused. But in last season, he had 186 carries, and with Jacobs being a free agent, Zamir White stinks. Amir Abdullah is only a pass catcher. And then Brandon Bolden's also really bad. Sure, you do have Sincere McCormick, but from what it sounds like right now, I haven't seen him on the field, and you're not going to go into next offseason with Sincere McCormick or Zamir White as your only two running backs on this roster. Like, the running backs in the free agency pool are very impressive, and the way that this draft ended up going, like, usually I am team drafting a running back, but the way that I'd probably look at this year's class in the free agency pool is, you know what, I'm going to look at going out and getting somebody that I could potentially use then as like a free agent running back. So I believe also these numbers are from 2023 on Ray Davis. He's been a player on the Kentucky Wildcats for the past 2 seasons where he's been getting the most run. He is basically just a between the tackles runner. He's a hard runner. But if I'm going to add Jayden Daniels, a lot of times when you have a mobile quarterback, that does give you the ability then to be able to have a running back that, when you have a mobile quarterback, it helps out the running game quite a bit. So you have Ray Davis. You still have Zamir White, I guess, as extra depth, but he's not a lock to make this team next season because he's a McDaniels and Ziegler guy. And then with how much talent is out there in the free agency pool at running back, where this situation, I might have to end up going with that direction. So here's my question to all of y'all out there. Who is going to be the Raiders starting running back next season? Are you willing to pay Josh Jacobs $8 million per year on a 3-year type of deal? If your answer to that is yes, then maybe it's Jacobs. For me personally, I have seen such a decline in Jacobs' overall ability this season. He's still a good running back. I'm not trying to take that away from him. But his burst, his acceleration, it has definitely been zapped after having 393 total touches the year before that. I am willing to bet a lot of money that Jacobs won't be back next season. And because of that, I'm curious to know what you guys think, who's going to be the Raiders starting running back next season. Let's go to round 6, pick 202. And this is the part of the draft that I'm going to be real with y'all. It's hard to find some players, and I'm going to go based on what the Raiders need and kind of where I'm thinking going forward. I'm going to go with Ben Sinnott, and hopefully that's how you pronounce this tight end's name, from Kansas State. 49 catches, 676 yards, 6 touchdowns. Michael Mayer is going to be your number one. Michael Mayer needs to be the number one tight end on this team. He's been a very solid tight end this season. I hope he gets more work. But Austin Hooper, I don't know if he's going to be back, right? Like, yes, he's got a deal, but sometimes players get cut in the offseason, like not really used all that heavily. Jesper Horsted, another player. He was more of a McDaniels guy. I know they like him, but to me, I view him a little bit more as just a practice squad guy. Sinnott has had some run blocking, pass blocking experience, had a solid year this past season with K-State, and a lot of times those players are very well coached. So if I'm going to be finding a backup tight end, I'm going to look at a guy like Ben. Now it's round 7, and usually in round 7, this is where I like to get creative, and I try to trade some of these picks in an actual draft to go up and get somebody higher on the board. For this one, I'm going to go with Julian Pearl, the offensive tackle from Illinois. 6'6", 315 pounds. I just noticed that he's from Danville, Illinois. I'm from Danville, Pennsylvania. Shout out to the 570. But to me, I look at Julian Pearl as, if Carmen Bracillo is still your offensive line coach, like, they like to work with guys that are giants, right? A big-time guy, 6'6", 315 pounds out of the Big Ten, which is kind of where, Thayer Munford, Big Ten guy. You look at Dalton Wagner, he's 6'8". So to me, that's kind of where I'm going with here. If Bracillo's still on the team, I could see them taking a flyer on a guy like Julian Pearl at offensive tackle. Let's go to round 7 now. 227 here is the pick on the board. And I'm going to go with Miles Frazier, 6'6", 323-pound guard out of LSU. And the reason why I went this route here is because, again, big-time offensive lineman. And if I'm going to take Zak Zinter, who is not expected to play in 2024 because of the injury that he sustained, and it was a wicked one, multiple breaks in that leg, then do you just add a little bit of extra depth here on your offensive line? I know a lot of people from Camden, New Jersey. If you're from Camden, you're a tough mother effer, man. So Miles Frazier, you're the next guy up here. And then round 7, pick 240 to round out my 2024 Raiders mock draft. I also went with Frazier because he's got that connection with Jayden Daniels. Tim Smith. And I want y'all to do this because Jeremy and I laughed out loud. I want you to Google Tim Smith, but you got to Google the images. Here's the thing. Doesn't look anything like this Tim Smith. 6'4", 304-pound defensive tackle out of Alabama, and this is just the truth. If I'm in round 7 and I see a guy from Alabama at a position that I need where my draft knowledge is at right now, because I've only studied first-round players and basically only quarterbacks, Tim Smith, defensive tackle from Alabama, let's let it ride. So here is my 2024 mock draft if the Raiders had the number 6 pick in the 2024 NFL draft. I went quarterback, DT, corner, offensive line, running back, tight end, offensive tackle, offensive guard, and then DT. So those were my 9 picks. But you know what? The reason why I love mock drafts is because there's a lot of times when I do this show, I'll always sit up here and I'll grade other people. Well, here's your opportunity. And this is where you got to be honest with me. If the Raiders draft ended and that's what it was, what would you grade it? If you need to rewind a little bit, go ahead and do so. A, B, C, D, or F. How would you grade this mock draft? And if you want to know what I would do, like what my honest grade was from this mock, message me on IG at MitchellRents365. If you want to tweet at me on Twitter, like when this video goes out on YouTube, if you share it on IG and Twitter and you tag me, it's probably going to be the easiest way for me to see it. I'll give you my honest opinion. If I see when people hit me up, I do my best to hit you back up. The good part about when a show grows, you get more and more people to hit you up. So it's a little bit more difficult. But I promise you, if you guys take time out of your day to watch the video and I see that you're asking me that question, I will respond. It's part of my job here, and I like doing it. So grade my mock draft A, B, C, D, or F.